I'm Omar Brownell. I'd like to start off by honoring a member of our community who is now sailing on smoother seas, who has been a strong supporter of the Keeper of the Dream Scholarship Award celebration for more than 30 years. And many of you know that Mr. Glenn McIntosh passed, and the work that he did with the Keeper of the Dream Scholarship Program for 30 years, just his leadership, his dedication, and his commitment to programs like this and others here at Oakland University are always remembered. And so we want to honor our dear brother for his life and legacy with us here at Oakland University. So just a moment of reflection. If we could just take a moment to reflect, and then we'll start our program. Thank you. At this time, I will ask that if you are able to rise, to please do so for the singing of Lift Every Voice and Sing. Thank you. You may be seated. Well, good morning again. Happy Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day to all of you. Thank you for being here with us for the 34th Annual Keeper of the Dream Scholarship Award celebration. I'm Omar Brownell. I am the Senior Director for the Center for Multicultural Initiatives here at Oakland University, and I consider it an honor to serve as MC again this year. Dr. King's vision, his awareness, his message to all of us, it resonates with us even unto this day. With all of the challenges that we face, there are opportunities available to us. And when I think about MLK Day, it reminds me of our capacity to organize and the need for organization and for us to be organized. And that makes me think about our wonderful seven recipients of this award this year. Because the organizations that they're involved in and their ability to organize for justice, their ability to see where there are influences that can be had, their ability to organize to address the ills of our day. And we're thankful to each and every one of them for their leadership here at Oakland University. Given our current political climate, we know that justice and right and kindness and morality is at stake. And we know that it is important for us to use our voices And I'm so proud of each and every one of you recipients this year, that you use your voice and you know that your voice has power. And that the more that you organize and that the more that you come together, not only just for your organizations, but we know that there's strength in numbers. And so the greater that we organize, the better that we can stand up to all of the injustices around the world. Not giving in to the pressure, knowing that every act has its place, that we all have a responsibility. So beyond our students, all of us have a responsibility to stand up to injustice. And we used this day as a reminder to do just that. So to all of our recipients, Marcus, thank you for your leadership. As the president of the Oakland University Student Congress, we see you working daily to bring Oakland University students together, and we thank you. Jason, I appreciate your resilience. I've seen you grow. I've watched you become the leader that we have always wanted you to be here at Oakland University. And you're walking into that leadership role, and we thank you, Jason. Ndei, Meridium, Sar-Sam. We thank you for your presence with us. You came here to Oakland University, and you found ways to get involved, to change the tapestry and the culture at Oakland University, and we're very sincerely thankful for all that you have done here at OU. Mercy. Mercy has come to Oakland University and taken it by storm. As a second-year student, coming here in the dance program and looking for ways to get involved, who has taken leadership not only in the classroom, but outside of the classroom, and we appreciate all that you do. Treasure, transfer student to Oakland University, came here and we were knocked off our feet when we first were introduced to Treasure. I met her at a leadership recruitment, and she came in and everybody said, well, we want Treasure to be on our team because she is a dynamic student here at Oakland University, and we appreciate what you've done. Kamar, thank you for your leadership. You make me think about what my mother always says, girl power. Because you have come to me and you said, Mr. Brownell, how can we have gender equity? I want to make sure that the young women here at Oakland University have equal access and resources. And you make me think about my mom when she always says, yeah, girl power. Girls can do anything. And we appreciate you standing up and speaking up here at Oakland University. And Jalea. Jalea has dubbed the CMI office as a dynasty. And I consider it to be a dynasty because of you, because of your many contributions to not only the CMI office, but to Oakland University. It seems like every time we mention Jalea or post Jalea on our website or social media, it takes off because Jalea was there. And I think that that is a acknowledgement for all the work that she does here at Oakland University and all the support that she has. And we can see it radiating with your presence and your family here today. So all of our recipients, I want to thank you for your support. I want to thank you for your leadership. And I want to begin our program today by introducing someone to us who is a strong supporter of justice, who is a strong supporter of treating everybody with respect and kindness, and who is a leader here at Oakland University. Our president of Oakland University, Ora Hurst Peskovich. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Omar. Well, good morning, everyone, and happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day. I want to welcome you now to the 34th annual Keeper of the Dream Scholarship Awards reception. This is just hard to believe that we've been doing this for 34 years. And I just want to say how absolutely delighted I am to be celebrating this with you. You know, this is such an important event for our entire community, and it's really a time for us to honor the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and also to celebrate how we, as Golden Grizzlies, are helping to bring Dr. King's vision to life to our beloved community. I'd like to start by thanking a few members of our board. Mr. David Kramer, a lawyer. Thank you, David. Would you please stand to be acknowledged? And Stephan and Kaniqua Welch, who are actually co-chairs of today's event, would you please both stand to be acknowledged? They've done an incredible job of helping to really organize today's event and to get sponsors today, and I really want to thank you for the tremendous work that you do. And your daughter, who's here today as well, you should stand to be recognized. Thank you. We do have elected officials who are here today and community leaders who are joining us, and if you're one of those, please stand to be recognized. We'd appreciate you being here and also the support that you give to our community here at Oakland. So please thank you and stand to be acknowledged. Thank you. Well, as you've already heard, at the heart of today's celebration are our remarkable scholarship recipients. And I just want you to know how very proud I am of each and every one of you. Shortly, we're going to hear your individual stories, and the entire community is going to understand just why each one of you is so remarkable and so special, and the many ways that each of you enriches our community. Omar, I also want to thank you and the incredible work that you do, and the entire team at our Center for Multicultural Initiatives. But you are an incredible champion for our campus, for our culture of equity and belonging. And of course, it is indeed a tremendous pleasure for us to have here on our campus our guest speaker, Bakari Sellers. So many of us have been waiting quite a long time to have you here, Bakari, and we just can't wait to hear what you're going to share with us in your speech, and we know that it's going to be inspiring, and it's really going to be a great pleasure to have you. And I also want to acknowledge that we have a very special guest with us today, Dr. William G. Anderson. Dr. Anderson is a pioneering civil rights leader and an osteopathic physician who worked closely with Dr. King. He has had a lifelong fight against segregation and injustice, and he really reminds us of what it means to keep the dream alive. And then finally, we would not be hosting today's event without our extraordinary sponsors who have invested passionately and deeply in our students and have helped us to keep Dr. King's legacy alive too. So I want to start by acknowledging our event sponsor, Oakland University Credit Union, which this year has doubled its support from last year and has always been a tremendous partner to us. April, you are tremendous. We want to thank you. Please stand. And we want to tell you, thank you, April. It's not just your support of this event, but the many ways that you enrich our campus, and we are so appreciative for the incredible ways that you do so many things to make Oakland University what it is. Our program sponsor, Corewell Health, and I would ask you, Lamont, to also stand to be acknowledged. Thank you. I'll also mention our benefactor sponsors, Fifth Third Bank and Magna, our high achievement scholarship sponsors, Comerica Bank and Whirlpool, our scholarship sponsors, and you'll be seeing them shortly, Kaniqua and Stephan Welch, the Oakland University Alumni Association, Oakland University Black Alumni Chapter, Lynn and Leah McIntosh Scholarship, the Lynn A. McIntosh Memorial Scholarship, and finally, I want to thank all of our vision sponsors. Well, as many of you know, because I tell you this every year, this event, the Keeper of the Dream, is without a doubt one of my absolute favorite Oakland University events. And one of the reasons is because it gives us the opportunity to deeply affirm and reaffirm our commitment to uphold justice, but also every single person's dignity and worth. But there's another reason why this day holds special meaning to me, and that is because it's really personal, and it's because of my own and my family's history to the civil rights movement and its history. And I thought today that I might share with you part of that history through my connection, and it's captured in part through the picture that I hope you will put up here now, and you should see shortly. In this picture, you can see my father and others. My father, Rabbi Richard G. Hirsch, is here with a group of clergy who are joining hands to sing, "We Shall Overcome," just as they're getting ready to board a plane in Washington, D.C., just prior to flying to Selma, Alabama, for the second march in Selma. You see, my father was very close friends with Dr. Martin Luther King, and he worked very closely with him to advance civil rights. In fact, the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965 were drafted in my father's office in Washington, D.C. Well, just before this picture was taken, my father and the clergy that you see here responded to a call from Dr. King for clergy from all across the country, but specifically for clergy in Washington from different denominations to board a plane to come to Selma for the pivotal voting rights demonstration. I was a very young child at the time, and I was terrified because there had already been violence in Selma, and Bloody Sunday had just occurred. In fact, it was that Sunday. And I told my father, as the oldest of 4 children, that he should not go because he had 4 little children at home. But my mother said to my father, as she always did, that it was his duty to go. And so my father boarded that plane, and when he landed in Selma, he was taken to Brown Church, where Dr. King was preaching, and there were thousands of people there. After Dr. King finished his remarks, he turned to my father and he said, "Rabbi Hirsch, you're next." Well, my father was totally unprepared, but as a rabbi, he quickly gathered his thoughts and drew upon the wisdom of his faith. And among the things he said was this: when God created man, he used every color of dust. Why? So that no man would ever be able to say, the color of my skin is better than the color of your skin. The crowd erupted in applause and said, "Hallelujah, brother!" Well, he was enthralled. The lesson was clear, and it echoed Dr. King's dream that one day his children would live in a nation where they would not be judged by the color of their skin, but rather by the content of their character. Today, we not only honor Dr. King's legacy, we renew our commitment to making his dream, our dream, a reality. And despite the challenging times that we find ourselves living in, this year's Keeper of the Dream students, all of you, inspire incredible confidence in us and for a better future. All of you students embody the best qualities of the human spirit: compassion, perseverance, commitment. It is you who are going to make our community and the world a better place. And we are just so fortunate that you are here at Oakland University. And we thank you for the incredibly powerful example that you set for all of us. So as all of us celebrate our honorees, let's us draw on their example. And let us each use our own voices and our own respective talents to keep Dr. King's dream alive, not only here at Oakland, but well beyond. Congratulations again to our students, and thank you all for being here. Thank you.
Thank you, President Peskovitz. At this time, I'd like to welcome to the podium, in this order, our event sponsor, Oakland University Credit Union, April Close, who is the president and CEO of the OUCU, followed by Kaniqua and Stephen Welch, who are honorary co-chairs, in that order. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I have the honor to be here representing OU Credit Union today. Thank you for your kind words about our support and partnership. As a credit union, our focus is always financial inclusion. I think that is the foundation of some of the work that we are also talking about here today. Ensuring that everyone has equal opportunity and access to have disposable income at their fingertips to be able to be financially successful, understand what your financial history means for your long-term success. We are proud of the work that we do alongside Oakland University in that area, and some of our financial educators are here with us, and they spend a lot of time on campus to ensure that everyone has the same opportunity for success. We are honored to support the Keeper of the Dream program and have done so for all the years that I have worked at the credit union, and pleased to support our students and their work as they advance the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., as we are all the doers of the future to ensure that this work continues. And much like our president, it's one of my favorite events to attend. If you aren't inspired when you leave here for the hope that we still have as a society in the future to be successful, I don't know what else could give you hope other than hearing from our delightful students and their hard work to ensure that we all have a future we want to be a part of. So thank you for including us in the program. I look forward to hearing from our students.
Hello, everyone. I am Kaniqua Welch,
Hello, everyone. Stephen Welch.
and we are so excited to be here with you. Beyond excitement, this is really an honor and a dream come true for us. My husband and I are very, very big on dreaming out loud, on dreaming really big and dreaming often. We have a painting of Dr. King in our living room. And for all of our friends and family members who are here, they know that I also force my friends and my family members to dream out loud and to dream big. For Stephen and I, we met at Oakland University back in 2000, many years ago. Our first class together was in Varner Hall. And then Stephen followed me around campus to other classes. And I kept him in the friend zone for 8 years. So to our students here, keep them in the friend zone because it works out.
Don't stop dreaming. Don't stop dreaming.
But after those 8 years, I finally came to my senses. We started dating, fell in love, and we were married here at Oakland University in the Pegasus Garden at Meadowbrook Mansion. We had our reception right here in the Oakland Center. The drink was called Campus Crush. And many of the friends that we met at Oakland, they are here with us today. People like Jonathan and Ashley Parks and Mike Williams and others. And other than finding love here, we found a community of people who have poured into us every step of the way, from students into adulthood into careers. People have poured into us from Oakland. I was a Wade McCree Scholar, just like Jalea, the student that we are sponsoring today, which I have to tell you is a dream come true for us to be able to sponsor you. With the Wade McCree Scholarship, it was a full tuition scholarship, did not cover books. I remember one year not having the money to pay for books, and I didn't want to bother my mom and my dad, who's here today. I wanted to figure it out on my own. I went to the Center for Multicultural Initiatives. I went to Omar and his team, and they helped me. They supported me and did not make me feel 1 ounce of shame. And there are people like Omar. There are people like Glenn McIntosh that 20 plus years ago and even till today continue to support us. But I have to tell you, there are people who did not always support me and my husband throughout our lives. I share this story often, and I want to say it to the students in particular here. There have been moments in my career where people told me what I would not be able to achieve because I am a Black woman who was born in the city of Pontiac, who attended Pontiac public schools. People told me, you will not be able to climb the corporate ladder, not with that ethnic name, not from that public school system. And there were moments where I doubted myself and I wondered, should I change my name? Should I downplay my background? And I had wonderful mentors, and Gary's heard this story so many times today. He's in the back of the room, like Gary Gilbert, who told me, don't you dare change your name, and don't you dare downplay who you are. Instead, let those things drive you and drive your career. And that is exactly what I did. So if I could come face to face with those people who told me what I couldn't achieve, I would proudly tell them, I did. Every single goal I have set out for myself to accomplish, I have achieved it. Every dream so far we have set out to achieve, we've achieved it. And that's because we've had people who pour into us. So I stand before you as this Black girl named Kaniqua from the city of Pontiac who attended Pontiac public schools, now as Vice President of Communications and Marketing for the Community Foundation of Southeast Michigan. And my husband, similarly, he came to Oakland through a program called Student Success Services. And this is a program where his grades were not the best. He was a stellar student. But his grades were not the best. And there were some people who counted him out. There were some people who thought he wouldn't be able to achieve certain levels of success, but he's a big dreamer. And guess what? He is now on the Oakland University Board of Trustees, a dream I don't think we could have dreamt big enough. He's Vice President of Public Affairs for the Detroit Pistons, and beyond the professional accolades, like, we dream really big together. So I just want to encourage you, for anyone who tells you what you can't do, all you have to do is dream really, really big, and you can do those things. And just remember that dreaming is a state of planning, right? So dream out loud, dream really big, dream often, and surround yourself with people who pour into you. I can't say that enough. My best friend, Ashley Parks, is here today. She received the Keeper of the Dream scholarship many years ago. And Ashley is a friend who is a big dreamer. We dream out loud together. And I didn't tell her I would say this, so I hope I don't embarrass her. But Ashley is a registered nurse. She graduated from Oakland. She's launched her own magazine. She's launched her own tea line. She's launched other businesses. And she's a big dreamer. But she also surrounds herself with people who dream big too. So remember that. Surround yourself with the folks who will pour into you. Never, ever stop dreaming, and know that you have a community of people who are here to support you in any way that you need. Thank you.
And so as I take this home as we get ready for Bakari, it is amazing to be here today and see so many of you. As we talk about Dr. King's dream, we also must know that a dream, all it takes is one step, right? As someone who is on the board of trustees, as someone who's a Detroiter from the West Side, Julia, what up, though? I tend to look at the world in so many different ways, right? And sometimes I question the world that we've helped prepare for our girls. Aria, who is the 9-year-old firecracker at our house, and Ariel, who's the 27-year-old authentic, soft, loving person that she is. And I hope that we've done something to impact this world. Dr. King always talked about a fierce urgency of now. As we continue to look around the world, and we continue to look around at what's taking place, we have to ask ourselves, are we doing enough? I thank Omar and the CMI office for putting on an event like this. I thank Dr. Ora for continuing to push the limits on what we can do when it comes to access and engagement, right? Because we live in a world where so many people are afraid to take that first step, where they are afraid of being sued or being afraid of persecution. But there's a sense of urgency of now. And as I close, I'm reminded of a story that I actually once shared in a Board of Trustees meeting once. There was a classroom, and they decided to get a fish. The teacher got them a fish. And they were going, this fish was going to be the pet for the entire classroom. And so as they got the fish, the teacher brought the bowl over to the table, and she said, okay, I'm going to take this fish out of the bowl, but I'm going to leave the classroom. Do not touch the fish. And she left the classroom. And students are looking around and like, what's going on? What should we do? They could tell the fish was in an environment that was not conducive for the environment. They saw the inhumane treatment that the fish was experiencing, but they still didn't do something until a little girl said, we've got to do something. It's hurting. It can't breathe. It can't thrive in this environment. And so a little girl took the fish and put it back in the bowl. And the teacher came back in and she said, congratulations, you passed the test. And they're like, what are you talking about? We passed the test. She said, I wanted to see what you would do. I wanted to see if you would do the right thing. CMI, Oakland University, thank you for doing the right thing. Thank you for your action. Thank you for continuing to engage and making sure that we have students on this campus who are willing to utilize their voice and their presence. I salute you all in the best way that I can salute you as a Detroiter. What up, though?
At this time, we are going to begin our Scholarship Awards presentation. Thank you, April, and thank you, Kaniqua and Stefan. I ask the president to join me again on stage so that we can give our students their just due. Marcus Johnson. Yes, Marcus Johnson. As the OU Student Body President and Vice President of Michigan College Democrats, Marcus strives to see that every student feels seen, valued, and heard. A political science major, he has created intentional spaces such as voice committees, which invite students from marginalized communities to influence policy discussion and elevate OU Student Congress work. Jean Ann Miller, Senior Director of the Office of Student Involvement, said that Marcus sincerely desires to represent the student body to improve or enhance their opportunities and address their challenges. With a strong academic record and a focus on civic engagement and public service, he also applies lessons from coursework to his work on campus. This includes working with to ensure the military-connected students have the tools they need to succeed. Marcus also invited student veterans to OU Congress general meetings, providing a much-needed connection between both entities. If you would now turn your attention to the video monitors to hear from Marcus.
Winning the Keeper of the Dream Award means a lot to me because it affirms the work I try to do every day, making sure every student on this campus feels seen, heard, and protected. It's less about recognition and more about the responsibility to keep pushing for a community where inclusion isn't an afterthought, but the standard. Promoting racial understanding matters to me because I've watched how misinformation, stereotypes, and institutional habits can harm students of color. If I'm going to call myself a representative of this campus, then I owe it to students to challenge those systems and create spaces where people can show up as their full selves. I'm inspired most by the students who share their stories with me, trusting me to advocate for issues they don't always feel safe voicing. Their experiences remind me why breaking down cultural barriers isn't abstract work, it's personal, and it has real consequences for people who deserve better. Dr. King's vision of equality is still urgent today because the inequalities he fought didn't vanish, they shifted. His message that justice takes action, not admiration, is something I try to carry into my leadership. Equality isn't a destination, it's something we build through choices, policies, and how we treat each other. One of the efforts I'm most proud of in my work with Student Congress is especially our push to institutionalize the Free Menstrual Product Program and our collaborations with offices like the Center for Multicultural Initiatives and the Gender and Sexuality Center. These projects and collaborations matter because they create lasting support for students who often go overlooked.
We are pleased to present Marcus Johnson with the Comerica Bank Keeper of the Dream Scholarship Award. Congratulations, Marcus. Jason Miller. Missing a male role model and being the only black student in spaces where he grew up, Jason has chosen to become a peer mentor and inspire others to become involved in their communities. In fact, in the Center for Multicultural Initiatives and as a resident assistant in Oakview Hall, he actually helps create community. It is noted by the graduate resident director that his programs and events have noticeably improved the community dynamic for residents, while his compassion and availability have made him a trusted resource. Focused on connecting and advocacy, Jason also created the student organization Men of Today, which focuses on developing leadership and challenging stereotypes of diverse and cultural backgrounds. Our honoree is a medical engineering student with a 3.45 GPA, an honors college student, a member of Alpha Lambda Delta, and has received the Freshman Spirit of Discovery Award. According to Academic Advisor, Jason skillfully manages the demands of an engineering curriculum with his campus leadership. Jason is not only an asset to this campus, but also a model of what a student should aspire to be here at Oakland University. Jason serves as the communications lead for the National Society of Black Engineers OU chapter. In this capacity, he promotes the chapter's work and highlights the accomplishments of underrepresented students in STEM. He also has a systems engineer internship with AM General that reflects his drive to apply technical skills to real-world challenges. Let us now hear from Jason in his own words.
Winning this award for me goes to show that the work I do as a leader and prominent figure for breaking down stigmas and cultural barriers is being recognized. I am proud to be a recipient and show my peers that dreams can become a reality when you put in the time and effort. It is important for me to work towards promoting racial understanding because for too long I have seen people of color underrepresented and feeling like they do not belong. So I work tirelessly to change that narrative and show them why it is important for all people to be included. The person who inspires me to work towards breaking down cultural barriers is my mother, Keisha Martin. As a child, I grew up watching her work very hard at everything she does, and to see a black woman step into a position of manager was something that I will never forget and always be proud of. Dr. King's vision of equality is still relevant today because the work he did was only the start. There is still so much that needs to be done to bring all people together and continue his dream as it lives on through his words, and it is up to us to finish what he started. The campus organization I am most proud of that involves my work of diversity and inclusion is Men of Today. This student organization was created to bring together any person identifying as a man and to promote inclusivity. Our mission is to break down silos and to create community among all male students at Oakland University. As founder and president, I look forward to bringing more men together to become leaders of tomorrow.
We are pleased to present Jason Miller with the Whirlpool Keeper of the Dream Scholarship Award. Indei Meriam Sar Sam. African international student Miriam uses her experience to foster inclusivity and appreciation for multiculturalism in all of her leadership and scholarship achievements. Pursuing a bachelor's degree in health sciences with a concentration in holistic health, the Honors College student has her sights on being an advocate for women's and children's health. She is an undergraduate researcher and has traveled to Ghana as part of a study abroad program in global health. Miriam is also a resident assistant in the living and learning community and promotes inclusivity and incorporating connection and multiculturalism into events and programs. Graduate resident assistant director Peyton Bucky said, Miriam has become an energetic leader and advocate for this community, designing engaging events for all residents to enjoy. A leader of the African Student Union and French Club, she creates spaces that broaden cultural understanding. Dr. Kwame Yaksaki notes that Miriam was elected as the first non-graduate student to serve as secretary of the African Student Union, a testament to her leadership and the trust she earned from her peers. As a classroom assistant in the Lowry Center, Miriam creates a positive learning environment for children and assists teachers with planning the curriculum. Let us now hear from Miriam in her own words.
Winning this award means so much to me. It affirms the work I put into creating and fostering an inclusive community on campus. It pushes me to keep doing more. It shows me the impact I can have and encourages me to continue growing at this path. I believe Dr. King's message is truly timeless. At any time or place, we must stay aware of how people are treated differently based on their identities and act to challenge it every day. As an aspiring healthcare leader, I see how racial disparities persist in healthcare despite advancements in the field. This reminds me that equality is not just an ideal. Dr. King's dream is a continuous effort that requires awareness, compassion, and action from us every day. Coming to the U.S. as an international student from West Africa made me aware of racial disparities in a new and deeper way. Growing up among different cultures taught me compassion and understanding, and those values guided my involvement on campus. They remind me why it is important to be present for others and support students who may navigate the same challenges I once faced. I'm inspired by my parents, Mama and Papa, my family, my mentors. I love you so much. There are so many people I look up to and hope to one day impact others the way they have impacted me, including those who are no longer with us. Glenn and merci, mon père. They give me the drive and passion to help others pursue what they want in life and remember that a supportive community can change everything. I am grateful for the positions I hold today. As the Vice President of the French Club and the Treasurer of the African Student Union, I connect with students, share parts of my identity, and advocate for those who relate to my experiences. As a resident assistant for the RISE community, I support students directly, create a warm environment, and help them feel grounded during their time at OU.
We are pleased to present Miriam Sam with the Lynn and Leah McIntosh Scholarship Award. Mercy Jeffries. Dance and finance major, Mercy said, dance as an art form and a cultural expression communicates across barriers that words cannot. At Oakland University, I have supported performances that highlight traditions from around the world, giving the audience the opportunity to see and feel diversity. A top dancer in the School of Music, Theater, and Dance, according to Associate Professor and Chair of Dance, Gregory Patterson, Mercy serves as treasurer of the department's student organization Dancers, a role that requires significant organizational skill and peer mentorship. Beyond this, she serves as a first-year assistant, CMI peer mentor, resident assistant, and orientation group leader. Mae Dennis, assistant director in the Office of Orientation and New Student Programs, praises Jeffries' exceptional leadership, compassion, and commitment to fostering inclusive communities. Dennis said, Mercy consistently anticipates student needs, fosters meaningful connection, and creates inclusive spaces where all students feel seen and valued. Our honoree holds a 4.0 GPA and is a student in the Donna and Walt Young Honors College. Dr. Sean Moore, Executive Director of E-Learning and Instructional Support and an OU faculty member, describes Jeffries as a standout scholar. Let us hear now from Mercy.
Winning the Keeper of the Dream Award means so much to me because it not only represents my personal growth, but also the support and encouragement of people who have poured into me along the way. It reminds me that working towards promoting diversity and inclusion has real value in our community, and it motivates me to keep pushing forward. Working towards promoting racial understanding is very important to me because I have experienced firsthand what it feels like to navigate spaces where representation and cultural awareness aren't always guaranteed. When we take time to learn about one another and challenge harmful stereotypes, we help our communities to grow and create spaces where everyone can thrive. The people who came before me and those around me inspire me every day to continue breaking down racial barriers. My family, mentors, and community have taught me the importance of standing firm in my identity and using my voice with purpose. Those who fought for justice long before me continue to encourage me to be confident in who I am and to continue pushing for change in this world. Dr. King's vision of equality remains deeply relevant today because we are still living in a world that must strive to recognize and value humanity. His message challenges us to not be complacent, but to keep pushing for racial understanding and inclusion in our communities. At Oakland University, I am most proud of my position as a first-year assistant in orientation and new student programs. I have the privilege of helping students transition into their first year of college and supporting them through challenges. It allows me to promote inclusion in a hands-on and meaningful way to make sure every student is seen, supported, and valued.
We are pleased to present Mercy Jeffries with the Lynn A. McIntosh Memorial Scholarship Award. Treasure Golden. Bridging divides to build unity is at the center of Treasure's service, as is a commitment to improving interracial understanding and creating spaces where students of all backgrounds feel valued and respected. Familiar with the weight of being judged for the color of her skin, Treasure makes it her mission to keep Dr. King's dream alive so that one day, students will be seen solely for the content of their character. She infuses this mission in her many roles on campus. As a resident assistant, she oversees students from various cultural, racial, and social backgrounds, always promoting cultural awareness, respectful dialogue, and unity. Treasure also serves as the chair for the Empower Our Families initiative within the Nu Phi chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. a program that focuses on multi-generational approaches to support families. She advances equity and justice on campus as a member of OU's NAACP Reorganization Committee, serves as chair of the Charter Committee for the National Council of Negro Women, and is a member of Tau Sigma Honor Society. Additionally, Treasure serves as a student representative on the Academic and Non-Academic Misconduct Committee. Assistant Dean of Students, Brittany Mitchell said, Treasure has consistently demonstrated a deep sense of social responsibility, paired with a remarkable ability to lead with both compassion and conviction. Now let us hear from Treasure.
Being here today as a recipient of the KOD Scholarship is both an incredible honor and humbling reminder of the responsibility I carry. This award is a reflection of the work I've done, but more importantly, the work I am determined to keep doing. Promoting racial understanding is necessary. As a Black woman navigating both higher education and the healthcare field, I see firsthand how racial injustice shows up in subtle and systematic ways. I'm committed to being the voice for those who are unheard. My inspiration comes from the generations before me, those who fought through adversity with strength and grace. I'm also deeply inspired by the people I'm surrounded by today, my sorors, my mentors, family, and friends who challenge me to think bigger and serve deeper. They remind me that collective action is the most powerful tool for change. Dr. King's dream is a call to action that still resonates today. We are still working towards a nation where equality is not conditional, but guaranteed. His vision continues to guide us as we turn hope into policy, into movement, and into progress. One of the campus organizations I am most proud of is the NAACP, which I helped revitalize on our campus. The NAACP represents more than political awareness. It is a catalyst for empowerment, a space for truth-telling and education, and a force for bold, necessary change. As the Health and Wellness Committee Chair, I work to bring awareness to racial and health inequalities. Beyond this, I am also an active member of the Nu Phi chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, where I contribute to initiatives like Empower Our Families, amplifying support for underserved communities. As a resident assistant in Vandenberg Hall, I promote cultural awareness and belonging through inclusive programming and daily interactions with my residents. I am also a proud member of the Tau Sigma Honor Society, where I represent and advocate for transfer students. Lastly, as a student representative for the university's academic and non-academic misconduct committees, I help ensure fairness for all students.
We are pleased to present Treasure Golden with the Black Alumni Chapter Alumni Association Keeper of the Dream Scholarship. Kamar Naji. With her goal of empowering others through healthcare, international student Kamar consistently lifts others through impactful services on and off campus. Being an immigrant, I have seen how language and stereotypes divide people, and I made it my mission to become a bridge that unites them, she has said. The health sciences student with a 3.83 GPA is a member of the Donna and Walt Young Honors College and the Alpha Lambda Delta Honor Society. As an inspiring dentist, she is also a social coordinator for the Arabic Medical Terminology Society. Through this organization, she aims to help future healthcare professionals effectively communicate with patients from diverse backgrounds, particularly in Arab and Middle Eastern communities. Kamar also serves as an Eclipse Scholar in the School of Health Sciences, which prepares leaders through diverse, student-centered, and interprofessional experiences. In her work with OU Cares, she supports autistic individuals by helping them express themselves, celebrating their successes and making them feel seen and valued. Interim Dean of Students Jesse Hurst describes our honoree as a visible ambassador for inclusion. Kamard is a remarkable student whose global perspective, academic excellence, and unwavering dedication to equity and inclusion embody the values this award is designed to honor. In 2025, she was recognized as an outstanding volunteer student and People's Choice Award winner through the Office of Student Involvement. On campus, Kamard has volunteered with the World Medical Relief and currently serves at the Gary Bernstein Community Health Clinic, where she assists patients of all backgrounds overcome language and cultural barriers. Let us now hear from Kamard.
Winning the Keeper of the Dream Awards means more than words can express. As an immigrant student who has faced limitation due to my status, this award is a reminder that my efforts are seen, valued, and are making a real impact on campus. It tells me that even without the privileges many students have, I still belong in spaces that honor leadership, service, and community. Promoting racial and cultural understanding matters deeply to me because I grew up witnessing divisions everywhere. In Iraq between Kurds, Arabs, Chaldeans, and Assyrians, and later between Turks and Arabs when I lived in Turkey. When I came to the US, I saw a new kind of separation based on skin color, nationality, and assumptions. I learned early that no one chooses where they were born, but everyone deserves respect. That's why I work to bridge cultures instead of letting those differences separate us. The person who inspired me the most to break down cultural barriers is my father. Since I was a child, especially during moments where I almost fell into harmful stereotypes, he reminded me to love and respect people for who they are and not for the labels society used to divide us. Those lessons shaped how I view the world and are the foundation of why I care so deeply about unity. Dr. King's vision of equality is deeply relevant today because we're still fighting assumptions, stereotypes, and divisions. His message was not just about ending segregation, it was about choosing compassion, justice, and understanding. The involvement I'm most proud of is my work with OU Cares and Gary Bernstein Community Health Clinic. At OU Cares, I volunteer with autistic individuals, helping them feel included and understood instead of being judged by the stereotypes society places on them. It's one of the most meaningful things I do on campus because it has taught me how powerful small moments of empathy can be. I'm also deeply proud of my work at the Free Clinic, where I support uninsured and underserved patients who often face language and cultural barriers in healthcare.
We are pleased to present Kamada Najee with the Oakland University Alumni Association Keeper of the Dream Scholarship Award. Jalea Eaton. In her leadership roles on campus, Jalea seeks connection while breaking down barriers, driving difficult conversations, and standing as a steadfast advocate for justice and compassion. With whatever time I am given, I am committed to using this voice I pioneered here at Oakland University, one shaped by discomfort, strengthened by connection and dedication, and not just to myself, but to my community, ensuring that my work of justice, compassion, and human connection never ends, she said. Jalea serves as an admissions programming assistant in the undergraduate admissions office, where she tailors campus tours experiences to meet each student's need and creates an inclusive environment for all. Drew Huff, assistant director of campus visits, says she has the ability to make every person feel the most important person in the room. She is incredibly empathetic, and always has the experiences of others on her mind, he said. Jalea's dedication to connection and empowering others is further visible through her work as an orientation group leader with the Office of Orientation and New Student Programs, and as a peer mentor in the Center for Multicultural Initiatives. Denise Tompkins-Jones, CMI Senior Retention Coordinator, said Jalea has made a significant and lasting impact on her mentees both academically and personally. She meets each of them with empathy, patience, and a genuine desire to help others succeed, which allows her mentees to feel supported and valued while finding their community. Jalea has been named to the President's List, has received the Wade H. McCree Scholarship, and is an ambassador for Grace Centers of Hope. Let us now hear from Jalea.
Winning this award means a lot to me. It feels like the beginning of something bigger. To me, it's a sign that speaking up and standing up for what's right still matters, even when it feels like no one's listening. This recognition makes me feel seen and reminds me to keep pushing for better and meaningful change. Promoting racial understanding is important to me because of love. I truly believe that love should be at the center of everything we do. No matter if someone is Black, brown, or white, everyone deserves to be treated with fairness and respect. At the end of the day, we all bleed the same, we all cry the same, and we are all human. My biggest inspiration for breaking down cultural barriers is my grandmother, Inez Williams. She was not only a wonderful grandmother to me, but a friend to so many and a light in every room she entered. Growing up, I watched her treat everyone with kindness, no matter who they were or where they came from. She welcomed people as if they were family. To me, she was the real-life example of Dr. King's dream, someone who led with love and believed in unity and compassion. Dr. King's vision of equality still matters today because the fight isn't over. His dream pushes us to keep striving in a world where everyone is treated fairly, seen for who they are, and given the same opportunities to succeed. As a proud member of the Center for Multicultural Initiatives Dynasty, I can honestly say that being a part of this organization has shaped me into the person I am becoming. It's a space filled with genuine love and care for others, and that's something I hold close to my heart. Working in an office that stands for advocacy, diversity, and inclusion has been a blessing. It reminds me every day why I do what I do, because people deserve to be cared for, supported, and heard.
We are pleased to present Jalea Eaton with the Kaniqua and Stephen J. Welch Keeper of the Dream Scholarship Award. Let's give another round of applause for all of our scholarship recipients. The recipients have prepared a short video to thank our sponsors, and so if you would once again please turn your attention to our video monitors.
Thank you to this year's sponsors. It's amazing to know that there are people who believe and invest in the next generation's efforts to create understanding and change. I'm really grateful for that.
Thank you, Corwell Health.
Whirlpool, thank you for your support.
Oakland University Black Alumni Chapter, your support is greatly appreciated.
Comerica Bank, thank you for your support.
Thank you, Oakland University Alumni Association.
Thank you, Oakland University Credit Union.
I want to express my sincere gratitude to the sponsor of this award. Your support empowers us to continue serving our communities and carrying forward Dr. King's legacy.
Magnan, your support is appreciated.
Thank you, Lynn and Leah McIntosh Scholarship.
Fifth Third Bank, thank you for your support.
Kaniqua and Stephen J. Welch, thank you.
Lynn A. McIntosh Memorial Scholarship, we're grateful for your support.
To the sponsors of this award, thank you. Your support makes it possible for students like us to continue this work and to know we're not doing it alone. We're truly grateful.
It is now my honor to introduce this year's keynote speaker. Two-time New York Times bestselling author, civil rights activist, attorney, entrepreneur, legislator, and overall prolific voice of culture, Bakari Sellers. The son of Gwendolyn Sellers and civil rights leader Cleveland Sellers, has helped draft the character of modern civil rights movements with the likes of Representative James Clyburn, Attorney Benjamin Crump, and President Barack Obama. He began a career of distinction early, entering Morehouse College at age 16, graduating from the University of South Carolina Law School and becoming the youngest legislator in South Carolina State Legislature at 22. In penning both his memoir, My Vanishing Country, and a children's book entitled Who Are Your People, Bakari pays homage to the working class values that encourage him to dream with his eyes wide open, and that are the predicate for his persistent fight for diversity, equity, and inclusion in the US and abroad. A CNN analysis, Bakari brings an ability to elevate discourse such that people always feel one step closer to a solution or resolution after he speaks. He combines these and many other talents in his new podcast, the Bakari Sellers Podcast, which airs 2 times a week on the Ringer Podcast Network. Our honored guest has also been an attorney with the Storm Law Firm in Columbia, South Carolina since 2007, where he heads up the firm's strategic communication and public affairs team and the DEI consulting practice. He is married to Dr. Ellen Rucker Sellers, and they are proud parents of 3 beautiful children. Oakland University, please join me in welcoming Bakari Sellers to Oakland University.
Good morning, afternoon. I lost track of time. I am from the big city of Denmark, South Carolina, where we have 3 whole stoplights and a blinking light. And my mom and dad would always tell me that the 2 most important words in the English language are the words thank you. And they're not nearly said enough. Down south, I like being in big cities like Detroit or the suburbs or exurbs, as I learned earlier today. But sometimes when you travel, you utilize colloquialisms that go above people's heads sometimes or around them. And down south, we have this saying that you have to give people their flowers while they're living. Amen. And so I think today I want to start by recognizing a few people. The first is your president of this amazing institution. Being a college president, my dad was a college president, is a very, very difficult task. But one thing that I've noticed outside of making me feel warm and at home, she wanted to make sure I was fed earlier, is that your president is really intentional and purposeful. So please just give her a round of applause as well. To all of the sponsors today, giving your treasure, giving your time. I don't even know how y'all came outside in this weather. I am still taken aback with the crowd. If it snows an inch or we get a report of snow, the milk is all bought, schools are shut down, and so to see all of y'all here just makes me feel really warm. But to the sponsors who gave and the sponsors who were here, give them a round of applause as well. To these amazing students, I was just laughing. I went to college when I was 16. I was just laughing that I lost my academic scholarship not once, but twice. That takes skill, okay? You could get in any club in Atlanta with a college ID, and trust me, I found that to be very true. But I just want to say to the students who have achieved so much, thank you not for what you have done, and thank you not for what you are doing, but even more importantly, thank you for what you will do. And so give them a round of applause for exceeding. And last but not least, I think it's very important, I got an opportunity to meet him this morning. I haven't known him that long, but I can tell you that he is a force on this campus. Every college campus, you have 2 types of institutions, right? Every college campus, you have that person who has been here 7, 8 years, still working on their undergraduate degree. You know who I'm talking about? But you also have that administrator who is just somebody that you can talk to, somebody who has seen classes upon classes upon classes. When you go to work, they knew this person. But you all are very lucky, and I hope he stands up, to have Omar Brownell on this campus. You know, many times we go to these people and, you know, I always say that administrators, particularly college presidents, pastors, and elected officials all have this one thing in common, which is that people only go to them when they need something or are very critical. But those are the only professions that people expect more out of you than they expect from themselves. And so I think it's very important that we always take time just when you see them outside to simply say thank you. So this morning, I am so honored. I looked at the list of speakers who have come before, and I'm just honored to be in the presence of all those greats, the Harry Belafontes and Lisa Leslie's and Anthony Andersons, and all of these people, some of which I know really, really well, to be a part of that awesome, in the truest sense of the word, group. But I'm going to do something slightly different than probably the rest of them. I'm going to treat you all this morning like Elizabeth Taylor treated all 7 of her husbands. And that means I'm not going to keep you long. But I do think that during this time period, it's very, very important that we have a conversation about this journey that we're on. I heard a few of the sponsors actually speak about this journey that we find ourselves on together, acknowledging this fundamental point that life is not a singular step, instead it's a collection thereof. And I love speaking at institutions of higher learning such as this, because it reminds me that on this journey that we call life, it's important that we understand what the goal and destination is. I hate when speakers speak or pastors preach, and they always tell you they're going to take you somewhere, but they never define what the end goal is. But so for the purposes of this discussion, I hope that we all understand that this journey should be about the destination of excellence. During this time period, we must be on a journey to excellence. This moment that we're in requires nothing less than excellence. And I also have to apologize to Mr. Brownell for bringing me all the way out here and bombarding you with questions that are rooted in such simplicity. But these 2 questions are necessary to answer as we navigate this journey that we're on together. I don't care if you're parents or CEOs. I don't care if you are the police in the back or the young men and women who served us breakfast this morning. You should always ask yourself 2 very fundamental questions. The first question is, how far have we come? And the next question is, where do we go from here? I don't fundamentally believe life is a science project or a quadratic equation or anything that difficult. I think life revolves around you being able in your moments of introspection to answer these 2 very simple questions. How far have we come? And where do we go from here? I also will preface this King talk, or whatever you all want to describe this as I very rarely talk about Dr. King in public. In fact, it infuriates me. Because his legacy has been so whitewashed and bastardized. People treat Dr. King as if he was some docile individual when Dr. King was a rabid revolutionary. We act as if he just died in his sleep when he was taken away from us in the most violent way possible. Dr. King's approval rating, 4 years, which was the last time it was taken, 4 years before his death, was actually lower than Donald Trump's at any point in his life. And so I want us to utilize that as just some juxtaposition at this infatuation we have with telling a false narrative about who King really was. But I hope that we keep that in mind as we navigate this journey, because as I ask the first question, which is, how far have we come, I understand we have to utilize some historical context. And for me, I like to think back to 1946. It was a young man named George Elmore. George was fascinating because he was what they called a Renaissance Negro. George in 1946, he owned a 5 and dime store. He owned a liquor store. He drove a cab and he took pictures on the side. But also in 1946, George was so fair-skinned that he could pass for being white. He decided he was going to go down and get his voter registration card, and they actually gave it to George. In August of that year, George went to cast his ballot in the Democratic primary, but who were the nosiest people in all the world? Poll workers. I actually think the job description for poll worker says nosy as hell. And they looked at George and said, George, we know you're a Negro, you can't vote here. And George was filled with faith, he was filled with audacity, and George went down and filed a lawsuit. It was known as Elmore versus Rice. As soon as he filed that lawsuit, they firebombed his liquor store. They stopped distributing to his 5 and dime store. His wife literally died in a mental health hospital from undergoing the trauma of the crosses being burned on her yard, etc. George Elmore died a very broken man, mentally, emotionally, and financially. However, Elmore versus Rice is the reason that African Americans can vote in the primary system in this country. So again, ask yourself that very simple question: how far have we come? My favorite heroine in all of the movement is a young lady named Sarah Mae Fleming. 1954-55, Sarah Mae Fleming was a 22-year-old domestic worker. It's a fancy way to say she cleaned up hotels. And one day when she got off of work, she was going to get on the bus to take public transportation back home. But her sin wasn't sitting at the front of the bus. Her sin was going through the front door, not the back door that the coloreds were supposed to use. And the bus driver grabbed her by the back of the neck and punched her in the stomach and rolled her down the steps. Sarah was unique because Sarah wasn't looking to make history that day. Instead, history found her. She wasn't looking to make history. Instead, history found her. I don't know how many of you all have people who are like these profound characters or figures in your life, and sometimes they only speak to you in parables. I was in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in 2016. I was about to give remarks from the stage before a young lady named Hillary Rodham Clinton. And I was standing in the corner of the stage on an X, and behind me was this big booming voice that said, "Little CL." I turned around, and of course it was John Lewis. That's what people call me after my dad, Little CL. And John Lewis looked at me and he said, "Be prepared to walk onto the pages of history." And he turned and walked away. I mean, that was the entire conversation. But it reminded me so much of Sarah Mae Fleming, be prepared to walk onto the pages of history. In fact, I'm not a pastor. I'm the furthest thing from it. If anybody's ever seen me drink tequila, they'll tell you. But it reminded me of in the book of Isaiah, when Isaiah was in the full awe and glory of the Lord, and the question was asked, "Who shall go for me?" And Isaiah said, "Here am I, Lord, send me." See, Sarah wasn't looking to make history. Instead, she said, "Here am I, Lord, send me." And she joined with some young enterprising lawyers from the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. And Sarah Mae Fleming laid the groundwork in action and law for another young lady who sat down 18 months later named Rosa Parks. So again, ask yourself that very simple question: how far have we come? And last but not least, I think about Harry and Eliza Briggs, who are from not far from where I'm from in Clarendon County, South Carolina. They were parents of young black children in 1949 who simply wanted their kids to have the opportunity to ride school buses. Now, it's funny being in Detroit or right outside of Detroit, or being in places like Chicago or Indianapolis, because all of y'all think you city folk, right? But in all honesty, all your people are from Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Mississippi. Y'all all from the South. What up, though? So, and it's just that fundamentally fascinates me. But you know how your grandparents would tell you stories about how oftentimes, they had to walk to school uphill both ways. How 75% of what they told you was true, about 75%. But back then it was true, because black kids had to wake up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning just to walk to their separate but equal schools, while white kids had an opportunity to ride school buses. Harry and Eliza Briggs set out to change that. They sued the school superintendent, and ironically enough, Harry and Eliza Briggs filed a lawsuit known as Briggs v. Elliott in 1949. And Briggs v. Elliott, I got my good lawyer friend on the board of trustees over here. Briggs v. Elliott was the first case filed in the landmark collection of cases known as Brown versus the Board of Education. And Brown versus the Board of Education was just a unique case because Chief Justice Warren got this very rare unanimous opinion on the issue of race. Imagine our Supreme Court today having a unanimous opinion on about anything, let alone the issue of race. And Chief Justice Warren wrote in that opinion that segregation causes a sense of inferiority by placing children in environments not conducive to learning. Think about that. He said segregation causes a sense of inferiority by placing children in environments not conducive to learning. That's not any type of legal brilliance. That's what $100,000 worth of law school debt will get you. But just think about that and ask yourself that very simple question: how far have we come? And as we utilize this historical context, and as we take this journey, and you go back and you think about George Elmore, who literally gave everything so that he would have access to the ballot, so that he would have that franchise. He and his wife literally gave up everything. But now we live in communities where entire generations of people do not understand the price that was paid. And there are individuals in the upper echelons of power who want to make it more difficult for you to have access to the ballot box. I'm so reminded that if your vote wasn't so powerful, people wouldn't work so hard to try to take it from you. So again, ask yourself that very simple question: how far have we come? I think about Sarah Mae Fleming, who just wanted access to public transportation. But now we live in communities where black and brown and poor folk don't have access to public transportation or affordable housing or even clean water. What if I told you there are 100 cities in these United States that have less potable water than Flint, Michigan? Again, ask yourself that very simple question: how far have we come? And then Harry and Eliza Briggs simply wanted their kids to have access to school buses. But today we live in communities where kids go to school where their heating and air don't work, where their infrastructure is falling apart, where teachers are overworked and underpaid. I'm not a big Friedman fan, but Friedman did write a decent book, The World is Flat. And think about it now, kids today are punished because of the zip code that they're born into. And fundamentally, the world is flat because when you graduate from schools in Oakland, you're not just competing with kids who graduate in Lansing or Flint or Detroit. You're not even competing with kids who graduate from school in South Carolina. You're now competing with kids who graduate in Johannesburg, South Africa, or the UAE, or London, England. You're now competing with kids around the world because we are fundamentally flat due to our interconnectivity, and we're not preparing an entire generation for a 21st century global economy. So again, ask yourself that very simple question: how far have we come? And the reason that I pose the question the way that I do and attempt to answer it in that way is because it doesn't matter if you are black or white. It doesn't matter if you are from Michigan or South Carolina. It doesn't matter if you are Democrat or Republican. It doesn't matter your leanings this way or that way. If you have any ounce of intellectual honesty, the answer to the question is always the same. In this country, we have made a great deal of progress. The problem is people want to put a period at the end of that sentence when it should be a ... We have made a great deal of progress, but we still have yet a ways to go. So now the question requires us to pivot to the next question, which is, where do we go from here? Now, this is the question that gives me the most anxiety. I have really bad anxiety, not like speaking anxiety. I speak in front of thousands of people all the time, and I'm on TV in front of millions of people, and it's an amazing experience. But my anxiety is when I lay down at night or moments of quiet, right? I have what they call a general anxiety disorder. You know, everybody has these fancy titles for your mental health. But it's when you lay down after you say your now Alamis. Y'all don't say now Alamis? Okay, all right. And you're laying down and it's really dark. And you know how you can hear every cube of ice that's being made? And only at that time can you hear when your air turns on and off. And the only thing that you see is the blanket rising with every breath. That's when my anxiety goes nuts. Ayala Vanzana is a good friend of mine. She says that my anxiety is when my thoughts are left in my head without adult supervision. And it's kind of wild because they're irrational, but I worry so much. And one of the questions that I worry about is the answer to that question of where do we go from here? Dr. King was very brilliant, and he asked that question in his second best piece of writing. Now, his best piece of writing is what? Don't say that I have a dream speech. We will fight after this. It's the letter from the Birmingham jail. It's his best piece of writing. The I Have a Dream speech was actually not even really great oratory, the audacity of me to say that out loud. In fact, many people know that the I Have a Dream speech had been given in Detroit a few weeks earlier. And Dr. King was very good with vibes. He was a great orator. He could tell when the audience wasn't going somewhere. And when he was on that mall, he realized that the audience wasn't captivated. And then he heard a voice from behind him, from a young lady named Mahalia Jackson, that said, "Tell him about that dream you had, King." And he then went into this rift. And we oftentimes get caught up in that rift of, I have a dream that one day we shall. But Stephen highlighted the most important part of that speech, in which he talks about the fierce urgency of now. In his second best piece of writing, along those same lines, he asked this question of where do we go from here? And Dr. King gave us two choices. Two choices that at this moment, as we embrace this fierce urgency of now, are so important. He said we could either have chaos or community. And if you think about it, the brilliance of the simplicity is all that really matters, because we understand that his words even then were so true. The book is about this thick. You can read it in one sitting. I'm on CNN a lot. I'll be on TV again on Wednesday night with Abby, and below me usually when I'm on TV, and I'm in my pajama bottoms and a suit top, is a cryon that says chaos. Just, chaos at 1600 Pennsylvania, or chaos in Greenland, or chaos in Ukraine, or chaos in Venezuela, or chaos at the border, or chaos in Minneapolis, or chaos. And we get consumed by just chaos. But the challenge for everyone who braved the elements outside, the challenge for everyone who is on this amazing campus, is to build community. It's something that a few of the recipients today actually talked about. It's building community. Let me tell you a story. It's about a young man who was born at 633 Frederick Street in the big city of Denmark. And when he was 10 years old in 1955, something happened that fundamentally changed his life. He would always tell you that the strongest woman he ever met was a young lady named Mamie Till. In 1955, Mamie decided to have an open casket for her son, Emmett. Emmett was a 13-year-old boy who his alleged sin at the time was whistling at a white woman. He was from Chicago going down to Mississippi to visit his in-laws, or cousins, not in-laws, cousins. And he was brutally beaten. And I don't know how many of you all have your phones out. I don't really care when people take their phones out while I speak, but Google one day, either now or when you get an opportunity, Emmett Till casket photo. Because you'll see this little boy, and his head and face was so brutally beaten that it was flat, like a pancake. And Mamie wanted the world to be able to see what racism and bigotry and xenophobia had done to her boy. And back then, for the young folk in the room, before you could go viral on Snapchat or TikTok or Instagram, you went viral in Ebony magazine. And so this picture made Ebony magazine. And this young boy from Denmark actually ripped that picture out, folded it up, and put it in his wallet. He became a part of what they call the Emmett Till generation. It helped spur his activism. He led little marches and sit-ins in the big city of Denmark, South Carolina. And then his parents were middle class. They owned a motel, a little juke joint, had a cab, and they wanted to get him out of the movement. And this is when the story has a good bit of irony. They wanted to get him out of the movement, so they sent him to Howard University, which makes sense to absolutely nobody. And then to compound his parents' worry, when he got to Howard University, he became best friends and roommates with a young man named Stokely Carmichael. And then Stokely actually graduated from Howard University and convinced this young man from Denmark to drop out of school. And he did. He dropped out of school and he joined this small fledgling civil rights organization where they got paid $8 a week, known as the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, also known as SNCC. And their first mission was to go to Miami University of Ohio. Many people don't know the civil rights history of Miami University of Ohio, because that is where civil rights workers went to train before they went down to Mississippi for Freedom Summer. And while this young man from Denmark was at Miami University of Ohio, he got a phone call that 3 of his friends, Madam President, had gone missing. I think that's why your story was so powerful to me. 3 of his friends had gone missing in Philadelphia, Mississippi. Now, how many of you all have ever been to Philadelphia, Mississippi? It's the size of this conference room, not conference hall, conference room. And this young man from Denmark led the search mission looking for Goodman, Schwerner, and Cheney, 3 civil rights workers who had gone missing. Their bodies actually, ironically enough, were found in a ravine behind the home of one of the local pastors and sheriff's deputies in the town. During the day, they would hide in barns and sheds, and at night, they would go out and look in ditches and trenches. And that was this young man from Denmark's first indoctrination into the movement. He ended up becoming National Field Secretary and Program Director under both Stokely Carmichael and John Lewis. And then he came back home to South Carolina and became involved in the most deadly civil rights demonstration this country's ever seen. You see, because on the night of February 6th, 1968, the students at South Carolina State College, as it was known at the time, decided they were going to protest the All-Star Bowling Alley. The All-Star Bowling Alley is what the history books call the last vestige of discrimination, Jim Crow's final hiding place. And it sits back in a little right ankle. And the students went down, and what was supposed to happen was 3 students were supposed to go in and take a knee. They were going to sit down and get arrested, and they were going to fight these injustices in the court of law. However, when they got there, they didn't know that law enforcement was already on the inside of the building. And so they began to clap and chant and sing protest hymns, but South Carolina State troopers and city police began to surround the students. And as they surrounded the students and the students got louder, the police began to press up against the students, and the students began to press up against the glass, and then the glass broke. When the glass broke, all hell broke loose. And the police began to beat the students, but they beat them not with normal police batons, but they had batons that were this long, and at the end they had these leather rawhide whips. James Stroman, who was there that night, recalls seeing one young lady being held by 2 state troopers while another one beat her. And the students that night, they had to go back to their campus and heal not only their physical wounds, but their mental wounds and emotional wounds as well. And then came February 7th, 1968. I think old folk have the saying that the tension was so thick that you could cut it with a knife. But nothing happened. And then came that fateful day of February 8th, 1968, when the students went back to the bowling alley to protest. However, this time when the police came, they got the right idea. And they went back to their campus. They went back to their campus. They went back to their campus. They built this huge bonfire, and you can imagine in February in South Carolina, we don't really have weather like this. It's not cold, but it's cool, and the bonfire would warm your bones ever so much, and the embers would illuminate the darkness. And those students, they felt safe in their numbers because they had gathered together much as for the same reason that we've gathered together today, for a singular cause and a common good. But the students did not foresee what would happen next. They did not foresee that South Carolina State troopers would line up along the embankment in front of their beloved campus. The students did not foresee that they would close ranks like they did. They did not foresee that they would have shotguns that were loaded with deadly double-aught buckshots of the same bullets we use to hunt deer. And they did not foresee that those shotguns would be turned on them with deadly intent. And for 8 seconds, 1001, 1002, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 shots were fired into the group of students. It killed 3, Henry Smith, Samuel Hammond, and Delano Middleton, and wounded another 29. This young man from Denmark was actually shot in the shoulder that night. And when he went to the infirmary, they told him there was nothing they could do for him there. His injury was too bad. He had to go to the hospital. When he got to the hospital, he was pointed out by the only black sheriff's deputy in Orangeburg County at the time, and he was arrested. He was arrested and charged with 5 felony counts, looking at a maximum of 75 years in prison. They identified him as a member of SNCC and called him an outside agitator. They actually denied his bond, and to add a little salt to the wound, actually housed him on death row while his bond was denied. In between the time of this young man from Denmark's trial and these 8-9 officers who fired shots into the group of students, random legal footnote, it was the first time in this country's history that law enforcement officers had been charged with federal civil rights crimes for shooting unarmed black folk. They were all found not guilty. This young man from Denmark went to trial, and the lead investigator from the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division said that too much time had passed. He had misplaced all the evidence, but he did remember this young man from Denmark, not on the night of the 8th, but on the night of the 6th, standing on top of a fire truck, lighting a Bic and saying, "Burn, baby, burn." So his indictment was backdated from February 8th to February 6th. All of his charges were dismissed except for one. And he was charged, tried, and convicted of rioting. And he became the first and only one-man riot in the history of this country. I tell this story because on that night, injustice, it left mothers without their sons. It left the pages of our state's history stained red with blood. It reminds me so much of the activism of young people and the fact that we have so many degrees in this room, and people probably know about Kent State. A few of you all know about Jackson State, but very, very few of you all know what the history books call the Orangeburg Massacre that happened at South Carolina State. But if you look at this young man from Denmark who got sentenced to a year of hard labor, and you ask him what's the greatest sacrifice he had to make, and you see that his shoulders aren't as upright as they used to be from carrying the burdens of so many generations, or his eyes don't pop like they used to from shedding so many tears from the loved ones lost throughout the movement, and you ask him what's the greatest sacrifice he had to make. He'll tell you the greatest sacrifice he had to make was not being in jail or losing his freedom per se, but the greatest sacrifice he had to make was being in jail for the birth of his oldest daughter, or my big sister. Because this young man from Denmark who grew up into a civil rights hero is my father, Cleveland Sellers. And the lessons that I learned from people like him and Jimmy Lee Jackson and Medgar Evers and Marion Barry, I don't let anybody talk bad about Marion Barry, and Julian Bond, the lessons that I learned from all of these heroes and heroines, the Judy Richardsons, the Sarah Mae Flemings, the lessons that I learned from people like Majeska Simpkins and Septima Clarks, all of these names, even before you get to the Martins, Malcolms, and Rosas, is that the answer to the question, where do we go from here, lies fundamentally in the ability for us to do three things. The first is we used to be a people of dreamers, but somewhere along the way we forgot the power thereof. We used to be able to tell people that if you wanted to be a scientist, you could be George Washington Carver. If you wanted to be a politician, you could be Nelson Mandela. If you wanted to be a doctor, I used to say Ben Carson, but you could be like your president right here. Because we have forgotten somewhere along our path the power of dreaming. And so I remind you that in answering this second question of where do we go from here, the first thing we must do is dedicate ourselves to dreaming with our eyes open. The second thing is even more powerful. And I look around the room and I told I'm giving you your doctorate now, okay? Mr. Brownell, I said, this is the most diverse room I think I've ever been in. And I know the extraordinary pride that comes with that. I also know the very silent anxiety that many of you all have. And so it requires, and the reason that we have that silent anguish or anxiety is because it requires you all to do something that some of you all are doing subconsciously, and others still have work to do, others being me. You have to rededicate yourself to loving your neighbor. But that's not it. You have to love your neighbor even when they don't love you. And that's a special type of love. That's a king type of love. That's a love where I want to get because you cannot be burdened by hate and fight the battles of tomorrow. And the last thing that I say you have to do in answering this question of where do we go from here is I like to go to Applebee's a lot. I mean, I heard judgment in this room. I ain't come here to be judged. But I do like to go to Applebee's a lot. We have an Applebee's, it's like across the street from our Veterans Hospital. And I don't know if y'all have been to like an Applebee's or Chili's that's near a Veterans Hospital, but you get some of the best stories and talk to some of the most amazing people. And so I go in there, I guess I need to tell you why I like Applebee's. So I go in there because one, they leave me alone. They're not asking me about politics, they don't care about, they just leave me alone. And the second thing is they don't pour the liquor like it's theirs. You know, they actually pour it in the cup, but that's all that. I hate these little bars where they give you a little dab, but I go to Applebee's and I was talking to my bartender the other day. And I asked her, what year were you born? And she told me, Madam President, she was born in 2000 and. I said, and there's more? And I began to think about kids who were born in the year 2000, how they've lived through 9/11, a housing crisis, a financial crisis. They've lived through the election of the first black president. They've lived through the creation of the Tea Party. They lived through the re-election of the first black president. They've lived through Parkland. They've lived through Fort Hood. They've lived through synagogue shootings and army base shootings. They've actually lived through the shooting of my good friend Clemente Pinckney along with 8 others in Mother Emanuel AME. They've lived through the election of Donald Trump. They've lived through the election of Joe Biden. They lived through the re-election of Donald Trump. They lived through the precipice of World War III. They lived through a once in a 100-year virus. They actually have to wear clear book bags, the elementary, middle, and high school now. They've lived through all of this under the auspices of social media, where people who actually eat Cheerios off their stomach and are able to criticize you for how you look in their mother's basement, and you never know who they are. They've lived through all of these things, and they are still here. This generation has lived through generations upon generations of trauma in 2 decades, and they're still here. Not only are they surviving, but this generation is actually thriving. And I think the most perverted thing, well, second most, we can talk about the first, but the second most perverted thing we talk about when we deal with this generation is that they are somehow the leaders of tomorrow. That drives me nuts, because they're actually the leaders of right now. But you know what it requires us to do? It requires us to embrace this one word, which is fascinating to me because it's something that we don't give ourselves enough of, and we don't give you all enough of. And somebody just said it, grace. In order to answer this question of where do we go from here, the third thing we must do is embrace the word grace. Giving others enough of it while giving ourselves enough as well. And the unique part about this journey is that when you get to your final destination of excellence, you must understand that you probably won't be rich. Your name probably won't be in lights. But when you get to that final destination, you'll realize that the purpose and reasoning that you made it there was so worthwhile. Excellence is defined by the greatest educator of all time, and I know that we're in a room full of educators. If your mama's a teacher, she could be number 2. But the greatest educator of all time is a young man named Benjamin Elijah Mays. He is from Greenwood, South Carolina. He was the 6th president of Morehouse College. And Benjamin Mays once said, in all things that you do them so well that no man living, dead, or yet to be born can do them better. In all things that you do them so well that no man living, dead, or yet to be born can do them better. That's our destination on this journey. And when you get there, I firmly believe that it may be Harry Eliza Briggs, it may be Sarah Mae Fleming, it may be George Elmore, it may be Henry Smith or Samuel Hammond or Delano Middleton, it may be Dr. King, it may be Rosa Parks, it may be Medgar Evers, it may be Emmett Till, it may be Jimmy Lee Jackson, maybe Judy Richardson. But they're going to look at you, and they're going to simply say, job well done. So thank you, and God bless you all this morning.
Thank you, Bakari, for your inspiring words and for your presence here at Oakland University today. I think I can speak for our community, say that we're very grateful and blessed that you participated in our 34th annual Keeper of the Dream. So thank you again for your presence today. I'd like to close today's program by again thanking all of our supporters who have been here with us, some of them for a number of years, and some for the first time. But I'd like to thank all of our supporters who support the Keeper of the Dream Scholarship Award celebration. And this event could not happen without your assistance and your presence here today. So a round of applause again for all of our supporters. I'd also like to recognize the Keeper of the Dream Scholarship Awards Committee, because annually for the better part of the year, this group meets to bring this event to fruition. And all of the committee members who are present, please rise for a moment of recognition. So that includes the committee as well as the selection committee. Thank you for your support. And I also like to say thank you to all of our individual donors who give of their resources to support the Keeper of the Dream Scholarship Celebration. So if you're here, you're an individual donor, please, and thank you for all of your support. A round of applause for them as well. All of our former recipients of this award, I see you, and I thank you for being present with us today. Please rise for a round of applause. Thank you to our former recipients of the award. I'm Omar Brownell. I am the Senior Director for the Center for Multicultural Initiatives here at Oakland University, and I consider it an honor to be the MC once again for the 34th annual. I've been here for a long time. I was here as a student with the first one, and here 34 years later. I'm still very appreciative of all of your support. And I'd like to really just leave you with the thought that each and every one of us has power, and there is something in all of us that the world cannot give you, nor can it take away. And I ask and encourage you to nurture it, to find it, and to explore it, and to use it profoundly to the best of your capacity. Thank you for your time here at Oakland University. Be well.